We're following those breaking developments out of South Florida, where a judge has appointed a special master to review the documents seized from the former president's Mar-a-Lago estate. Judge Eileen Cannon appointed former federal judge Raymond Dearie. Cannon also rejected the Department of Justice's requests to continue its criminal investigation into the documents. So they wanted to keep examining them as the special master was reviewing them, and the judge said no. We've been covering every new development since the search unfolded on August 8th, where FBI agents seized more than 10,000 documents from Mar-a-Lago. Our Joe Khalil is bringing up to speed on the latest developments there. Good morning, Joe.
Mitch, good morning. So Judge Eileen Cannon, by her ruling yesterday, really answered two important questions that we had outstanding. One was, who was this special master going to be? And the second question was she going to comply with the Department of Justice's request? They wanted whoever this person was to have limited access, especially to the classified material. They wanted her to go back and sort of redo the first ruling she made. We now know the answer to both of those questions. So let's start one by one. With the first one, who is this person? Who is this special master? So Judge Raymond Dearie has been on the bench for a long time. He's a federal judge appointed by Ronald Reagan in the 80s to serve on the Eastern District of New York's bench. So he has a lot of years under his belt. He was a Trump team suggestion. They put him forward. But importantly, even though the DOJ didn't put his name forward, they didn't object to him either. So there is a bit of consensus there. And there are even some liberal left-leaning attorneys and prosecutors who've called Judge Dearie fair and even-handed. So important to note there. On the second question, this is where it really gets tricky, Mitch, because the Department of Justice, they didn't want this special master to have full access, especially to these classified documents. And the reason is they are still doing a separate investigation into the national security risk to the United States. What kind of risk did it pose to have this really highly classified, highly sensitive material out in the open at Mar-a-Lago? Obviously not a secure government facility. They're doing that investigation as we speak, but because of this special master being appointed now, that investigation, the DOJ says, is going to have to stop. They're going to have to pause what they're doing and hand over all of these documents. They did not want that. So what they did is they actually asked Judge Cannon to reconsider the rules around this special master appointment. She, we now know, is not ruling in favor of them. She rejected that request. So now these documents are going to go to this special master, Judge Dearie. He does have a deadline of November 30th to finish his work, but the government still thinks that's going to seriously hamper and delay their investigation. Now, Mitch, it's not the end of this dispute by any means, because the DOJ has promised if Judge Cannon did not comply with their request, they were going to appeal it to a higher court. So we fully expect, after we got this decision last night, that is going to happen. The DOJ is very likely going to follow through on its word. They put it in paper saying they're going to appeal this. We'll see what that happens or what bears out from their appeal. But as of right now, we have a special master, and he is going to continue to do his work and begin very soon, unless a higher court says otherwise.
It is interesting to note, too, in that order that Judge Cannon issued yesterday, she said, well, the government says that they wanted to know by the deadline, so I guess I'll expedite this ruling. I'll just go ahead and say no. We're going to talk more about this with Bernarda Villalona, but that's Joe Khalil reporting live from D.C. We thank you for that update. And like I said, we're going to talk about how big of a win this is for Team Trump. And to do that, we've got former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney Bernarda Villalona. She's back for a second time this week. We appreciate your expertise. How big of a win is this for the Trump team? It seems like they won both of the crucial issues in at least this part of this case.
Good morning, Mitch. This is a huge win for Donald Trump. You know Donald Trump's playbook. His playbook is delay, delay, delay. The delay plays in his favor. So to him, it's a huge win, especially since they didn't lay any concrete legal arguments in their papers. And despite that, Judge Cannon still ruled in Donald Trump's favor. So this is a huge win for Trump. I hope DOJ continues to fight and we can see a resolution to this real quick.
So wait, say that again. The Trump's legal team didn't really respond very much or didn't have a concrete legal argument, and Judge Cannon still ruled in their favor?
Exactly. That's why her decision is so flawed. So she issued a 10-page decision. And remember, Trump said, well, there may be classified information, maybe not. There may be some privileged information. It may not be any privileged information. But anyway, let's not take a chance. That's what Judge Cannon said. And I'm not going to take DOJ's word that they have actually filtered through these documents and determined that certain information is classified and not privileged. So Judge Cannon, this is not good for the future of the country, setting this bad precedent. So I think that's why the DOJ has to continue going forward and appealing this decision. But the question will be, how much time will it take?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing about these legal decisions is they always create a precedent. If you read even Judge Cannon's decision, there's previous criminal or previous judicial precedents that are mentioned in there, and this judicial precedent will now be argued in future cases, as you say. But I want to talk about the judge rejecting the DOJ's request to continue examining these documents for their criminal probe, sort of while the special master does it. And the judge said, no, you can't do that either. She basically said, your case is stalled right now until the special master gets through with this work.
And that's pretty much what Judge Cannon has done. However, she did say, no, you can continue interviewing witnesses. You can continue talking to people. You just can't show the documents to these individuals. But the problem is that what's relevant is what's inside of those documents. That is what's making and driving this criminal investigation. However, what Judge Cannon did do is that in her order, she told and directed Judge Dearie to issue interim reports and to prioritize these certain documents, these 11 sets of documents. So we'll have to wait and see whether Judge Dearie, number one, prioritizes. I believe he will. However, Judge Cannon did not set a deadline as to when to reach a decision as to those certain documents. So Judge Cannon denied DOJ's motion, said it's not inextricably woven in terms of the damage assessment as well as the criminal investigation. And that's where we are right now, Mitch.
So I'm beginning to understand a little bit about why both sides would agree to Judge Dearie. What I was told, what I've learned a little bit since researching him is that I was told he's very fair and down the middle, which is something the DOJ would like, but also he's very deliberate. And that means slow, and that's good for the delayer-in-chief. As you said, delay, delay, delay is Donald Trump's tactic, and it sounds like Judge Dearie is going to take his time with these 10,000 documents or so.
Exactly, Mitch, especially since Judge Dearie knows that the country is watching. So even though you're not supposed to take that into consideration in your decision making, he is aware that the country is watching, the news is watching. Like, we're waiting with every breath as to what is your decision, when are you going to release your decision, and what should we expect?
So how long do you think we should expect him to take? We're talking about 10,000 documents here. Is this going to be months? Is it going to be weeks? Any idea?
So in regards to the 10,000 documents, I believe it's like 11,000 documents, Judge Cannon did set a deadline that he has to conclude his decision-making by November 30th. But before November 30th, Judge Dearie can issue interim report. So it's kind of like rolling discovery. You can take a look at it, issue a decision as to this batch of documents, as to these 11 classified documents. So that way it kind of gives us some insight as to where we're going. For the DOJ, the most important part are those 11 documents, classified documents, because that's what they're using for their criminal investigation, as well as to assess the damage to national security.
Okay, so can the DOJ appeal this decision, or will it just go ahead and appeal the original decision to appoint the special master? How many appeals are at play here?
So at this point, I don't think the DOJ is going to appeal the decision to appoint a special master, especially since they agree or compromise to Judge Dearie. But the part that they are going to appeal, and this is why Judge Cannon issued her decision before Thursday, yesterday, because the DOJ stated in their papers, look, if we don't get a decision by Thursday, we're going to go ahead and appeal. So DOJ is going to appeal to the 11th Circuit. The problem with the 11th Circuit is that it's a conservative circuit. And 6 of the 11 sitting justices were appointed by Donald Trump. So that, number one, is an issue. Also an issue is, how long would that appeal take? How long will it take the 11th Circuit to reach a decision? Will it be longer than the November 30th deadline? So we don't know. So it's juggling for DOJ. They have to make a decision as to should we just go forward and wait for the special master to answer, or should we stay in the proceedings and possibly delay longer than November 30th in order to get a decision that may not even be in their favor. You got to remember, there's no legal standard as to executive privilege because this hasn't been done before. It hasn't been litigated.
It sounds like it's going to end up in the Supreme Court because that's where the national precedent gets set. But we will have to wait and see on that. One more note here, Bernarda, Judge Cannon's order also said that Trump is responsible for 100% of the cost of the special master. He had asked that the government be asked to pay for it or that they split it, but it's going to go 100% on Donald Trump's tab. You can add it to the tab. And she is Bernarda Villalona. She's a former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney. We thank you for lending us your legal expertise on Early Morning today.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.